Welcome y'all, Wes with DIY Food Plot Pro. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode. Today we're talking about alfalfa. We're talking about how much does it cost to produce an alfalfa food plot. And I'm also going to tell you some of the things that I learned when I first started raising alfalfa that I think are really key to raising this crop. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the fertilizer, okay? This field right here is a turnip patch from last fall. I have not sprayed it yet. I'm getting ready to, probably this week. I went ahead and put all my P and all my K down for this food plot, okay? I ordered 300 pounds of 923.30 per acre, and I double spread it here. So I put about 600 pounds of 923.30 on this, what's going to be alfalfa food plot. That gives me about 140 pounds of P and about 180 pounds of K. That should get me in the high levels, which is where I want to be when I'm planting alfalfa. I want to be in the high ranges for all nutrients. This is an expensive crop and we don't want failure. So for this plot, the fertilizer that I put on this morning, it cost me $240 per acre. So let's talk about the seed at first. It is little bitty tiny seed, very similar to clover, but my gosh, you're gonna get sticker shock when you go to the store and try to buy Roundup Ready alfalfa seed. It is around $400 to $500 per 50-pound bag, okay? We're only gonna use 15 to 20 pounds per acre pure stand of alfalfa. We don't need the full 50 pounds unless you're gonna plant, 2.5 acres. Make sure that your seed comes inoculated with the rhizobia bacteria already on it. If it does not, you need to get that and put that on your seed before you spread it. That makes where that alfalfa can make its own nitrogen. That way you don't have to put the nitrogen out there for it. This saves you a lot of money trying to plant alfalfa. Okay, let's get into the thing that everybody hates with a passion, lime. Okay, this soil is in the mid-5s right now. Am I just gonna go ahead and put this alfalfa out here in the mid-5s? Absolutely not. Alfalfa is very, very picky about needing soil right around 7. Do not, I repeat, do not go out there when your soil pH is in the 5s and try to plant alfalfa. You are not going to get good results, and then you're going to think I'm a liar because I'm telling you that you can do this, okay? Your pH has to be right. Your fertility has to be right. Many things need to be exactly right for alfalfa. This is not one of those crops you can just plan ahead. All right, it's Friday afternoon. Tomorrow I'm going to go out and I'm planting an alfalfa food plot. That is not one of these cases. We are mid-May, and I'm getting ready to put lime on sometime in the next week. So the lime that I'm gonna need is gonna call for 3,000 pounds of ag lime. At 40 pounds a bag, $5 a bag, I'm gonna need 75 bags to be able to put 3,000 pounds on this. That makes $375 for the lime per acre. Quick side note here, guys. An ag lime, a truckload, 23 tons, a triaxle load, 46,000 pounds, is $700. So if you can get a truck out there, it can save you a considerable amount of money, especially if you have a lot of fields to put lime on. They can save you a lot of money. Instead of $5 for 40 pounds, you're talking about $30 for a ton. So you can save a lot of money by getting ag lime out here and spreading it yourself. If you have a way of spreading that, ag lime can be extremely difficult to spread. I stopped to check my video camera, turn the spinner off, and this is what I've got. So it's hollowed a hole out right there, and the lime's not spreading on it anymore. I've got a lot of videos that show you how to do it. Some of them are successful, some are non-successful. But you can watch those if you want to watch those. But just a side note, that can save a lot of money if you have a lot of fields that you need to spread lime on. Okay, something that you don't hear a lot about when you hear about people talking about raising alfalfa is insecticide. You must spray that alfalfa with insecticide, and you be sure that you're keeping the bugs off of that stuff. So for our budget, I'm figuring $30 to $40 per acre per year to spray those plots with the insecticide. Clipping, also extremely important. You want to keep the young tender growth. You do not want that stuff getting this big with the big purple flowers. You're in a heck of a bind if you let your alfalfa get to that point, okay? When you first start seeing purple flowers is when you need to go ahead and clip. Clip it basically by bush hogging it. You do not burr this stuff off at the ground, especially if you're in drought conditions. You can kill it, but it does need to be clipped to keep that young tender growth. I always clip mine about like a yard, about 4 or 5 inches high. That's where I clip mine. I've got $10 to $15 per time. Basically, that's just diesel and a little bit of wear and tear on your tractor. So for the whole year, we've got about $75 in expenses as far as keeping our alfalfa clipped. Another side note to mention, when you're getting ready to work your alfalfa ground, if you're using a break-in plow, make sure you wait plenty of time but before you break it, or after you break it, and before you go back and try to disc. Unless you have great big equipment and an awful lot of it, if you break your ground and then go out with the disc right after, it's going to be terribly unlevel. That's just all there is to it. I did that. That was one of the pitfalls that I fell into. I rushed out I had already had my P&K and I already had my lime on there. I was really good as far as that goes, but then all of a sudden it got time to plant and I went out there and I tried to break it, disc it, roll it all in one day and try to seed it the next day. And my field ended up being really unlevel, which you think in the beginning, that's a little bit rough when you're bush hogging, but not that big a deal. The problem that you get into is when you're clipping and you've got a big bush hog back there, if you've got high spots, your bush hog can be burning off at the ground. So you want that ground good and level. So what I recommend is going out there and either chiseling, breaking, tilling, and then letting a good heavy rain fall on that. Do that well in advance before you're going to plant. Let a good rain fall on that and then go out there and do it again, and you're really going to get a lot of the clots gone. It's going to smooth it out and be a lot more level, and that really helps you throughout the life of this alfalfa plot, because this is a 3, 4, 5 year deal. So what we want to do is we want to do it right, so we're not having to work around something for 4 or 5 years. It's a pain in the butt. You want to be able to go out there and bush hog as fast as what your tractor can do and bush hog and do a good quality job, and not worry about burring some off at the ground or hitting blades with the ground. And so you really want to make sure that's a good level seed bed before you plant. We've got to keep that alfalfa stand clean, which is where that Roundup Ready seed comes in, okay? You're going to spray 2 to 4 times. Hopefully the first couple years, you're going to have a good thick enough stand that you're not going to have a lot of weeds or grass to have to spray. And that's a beautiful thing. And for the first 1 or 2 years, you might be saying, man, that guy didn't know what the crap he was talking about. He told me to do Roundup Ready. I haven't even had to spray yet. That is a great thing, because when you get into your 3rd, 4th, 5th year and that alfalfa population starts to diminish and some sunlight starts hitting that ground, then all of a sudden you're really going to get into, you're going to start spraying more and more and more, trying to control those grasses and some of those weeds. So for Roundup spraying, we got 2 to 4 times, about $40 per acre per year. Okay, something that you absolutely don't hear about when you're watching these food plot guys: micronutrients, boron. You don't know how important boron is. This is a pitfall that I fell into. I didn't know. Nobody told me. I learned this the hard way. Do not let your boron levels get low, okay? Boron is something, it is a micronutrient. It's not needed in large quantities, but it is needed. So the problem with micronutrients is it might only be calling for 3 to 5 pounds an acre, and that's extremely difficult to spread 3 to 5 pounds of anything over a football field, which is essentially 1 acre. So what I like to do is spray liquid boron on, okay? That's what I really like to do. That gives that plant some boron, and alfalfa is really susceptible to yellowing if it doesn't have that boron. That's one of the first signs that you're gonna see. You're not gonna know what's going on. You're gonna have a dark green alfalfa, then all of a sudden you're gonna start seeing yellow come through on the top of those leaves. That is a clear boron deficiency indicator. For boron, we're looking at about $40 per year to keep them and the other micronutrients that you need to be checking with your soil test yearly. Even though we're going ahead and putting this on now, and we've took our soil sample now, we know what it is. This is a soil test every year, guys. This is not a one time in 5 years. Soil test every single year to know what you need. If your P gets low, you better be throwing P to it. If your K gets low, you better be throwing potassium to it. Okay, so we got $184 in the seed. We've got $240 in the fertilizer. We've got $375 in the lime. We've got $40 in the insecticide. We've got $75 in the clippings. We've got $40 in the Roundup sprayings. We've got $40 in the micronutrients. Gives us a grand total of $994 per acre. So $994 per acre. That is a big money crop. That's by far the most expensive one. But one thing that we have to consider too is we're going to get this over hopefully a 3 to 5 year period. If you're managing your plot, following along with me and listening to what I'm telling you, doing the management things that I'm telling you to do, staying off of soils that don't need to have alfalfa, which are wet natured, not well drained ground. All those things are very, very important to raising an alfalfa crop. I absolutely think this stuff is worth it. For me, this is a 3 to 5 year deal for $1,000 roughly. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to add a little bit more P and K throughout that 3 to 5 years. I'm definitely gonna have to keep up with the clipping, the Roundup spraying, the micronutrient spraying. Likely I'm not gonna have to add any more lime. If I added ag lime, that's gonna last for the entire length of the plot. You shouldn't have to buy any more seed because alfalfa does have autotoxicity, so you cannot sow into an existing alfalfa crop. Please, please, please don't go out there in the spring and plant alfalfa. It may make it just fine, but the issue that you get into, if you get a 50% stand, you can't thicken that up. You can't do what you do with clover and go out there that winter and frost seed it in, okay? Alfalfa has autotoxicity. What is that? That plant, that mature plant, puts off chemicals in the ground, prevents other alfalfa plants from coming up around it. You're basically, when you get this established, your stand's never going to get any thicker. So you have to try to do as good a job as what you possibly can on the front end, because you're not going to be able to add anything to it, guys. And once again, when we're talking about spreading your seed, I'm going to recommend putting the full 20, and I'm going to do 10, and I'm going to spread it this way, and then I'm going to spread 10, and I'm going to spread this way, because you don't want any skips out there where you can't thicken that up. All that's going to do is you're going to have all kinds of weeds and grass right there, and you're going to have to consistently spray that. You have a good, thick, lush stand of alfalfa, you're going to be amazed at how well those are going to keep the weeds at bay in your plot. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much to all the subscribers and all y'all that comment on the post, like the post. I really appreciate that. So y'all have a great day.